Hi, in this video I would like to talk about the aspects of religious experience. Of course, religion is not consist of dogmas, principles, rules, texts, and so on. What makes religions alive, religiosity alive, it is religious experience. In other words, the heart of religion is religious experience. Religious experience, it is very personal, it is very compelling, and it has a profound effect uh, on the whole life in many cases. So, understanding of religiosity or studying religiosity means the understanding and studying religious experience. Religious experience, of course, cannot be divorced from human experience. Religious experience cannot be divorced from philosophical experience. Religious experience cannot be divorced from artistic experience. Religious experience cannot be divorced from moral experience. It cannot be divorced from scientific experience. So, I think the point at the beginning I would like to make, we have to understand human experience as a whole, that is the aim, and religious experience as a part of this whole must be understood. So, what is experience? I mean, why we are experience something or whatever? The reason is that we want to gain knowledge. We want to see ourselves, the world, and beyond through fresh eyes. We want to renew our existence. We want to renew uh, the way we look at the world. So, in order to do that, uh, in deep level, in deep, in the depths of our psychology, we try to grasp the meanings and the values our existence and our surroundings. So, religious experience in this regard, it is a profound way of understanding frameworks in the name of sacred, which guide us meanings and values. So, religious experience in this regard, it is a conscious experience. Consciousness must be there. So we are aware of what we are experiencing. So when consciousness means we are aware of our thoughts, we are aware of our feelings, sensations, perceptions, images, memories, ideas, or whatever. So, religious experience, it is not a state of madness, or it is not a state of being crazy. It is a state of normality. Because in religious experience, we want to see our existence and the world through fresh eyes. So, consciousness is important. So, religious experience in this regard, it has a system, it has a context. So, religious experience just happen within the system and the context of our mind, society, culture, and all other aspects of human experience. In religious experience, as I said, it is a conscious experience. It is about our perception, it's about our memory, it's about our thinkings, feelings, and so on. But at the same time, our feelings, our thoughts, our ideas, our social relations, our learnings, everything has been interrelated. So, different aspects of our mental processes interrelated, interconnected in religious experience. I mean, our intuition, our rationality, our individuality, and our social relations. All these aspects related with each other. So the point I would like to make is here. Religious experience, it is not about religious alone. It is about whole our existence, because religious experience brings together our philosophical perspective, our scientific perspective, our moral perspective, everything one way or another related with each other in the occurring of religious experience. So, if religious experience is a way of experiencing how we perceive the world, so religious experience depends on our perception of the world. It depends on our perception of ourselves. It depends on our perception of society, nature, philosophy, art, science, morality. So that means that if religious experience is a matter of perception, there are two main aspects of religious experience. The first one is religious experience is too personal, is too subjective. So everyone, every individual has his or her own religious experience in their own ways. Religious experience is a matter of taste. So the point here, subjectivity and individuality if there are two main aspects of religious experience, that means that we can't talk about a sort of universal religious experience which valids for all people, for all which can be valid for all times and places. There is no such things. So we have to understand religious experience as personal and subjective level. Of course, that is why the understanding and studying religious experience is so difficult because it is too personal, it is too subjective. Everyone talk about their religious experience in their own ways, subjectively. So, one explanation which could be valid for one experience may be not valid for another experience. So, it will be safe to understand religion. I mean, this is certain. I mean, maybe we can't make a certain statement about religious experience, but what can be said probably is religious experience is something personal, is something subjective, but not universal. So, in religious experience, our consciousness is focusing on ourselves, on nature, on society, and of course, on sacred, on God, on divinity. So, in religious experience, you are making differentiation about uh, central object of your experience. You know that human and God, they are different. You know that who you are aware of that human and nature, they are different. You know that human and society, they are different. I mean, consciousness requires that you have to make a sort of differentiation between your existence and your target existence. Of course, sometimes or some people said that they have very intensive experience in which they couldn't make any distinction between themselves and the target object. For example, they say in their experience there is no differences between their personality and the personality of God, the personality of divinity. So sometimes there are people who, especially mystics, Sufis, and so on, they present their spiritual religious experience in a more monistic level, very homogeneous level. Because they think that uh, I mean, somehow religious experience, through religious experience, they reached a level of existential unity. In this unity, it is no longer possible to make differentiation between God and man, between man and nature, and so on. So these are some ideas or some interpretation uh, mystics, religious people, Sufis, they are making. So the point is here, uh, religious experience and religious interpretation of religious experience. Are they different or are they the same? Of course, most mystics they say their experience it is something unreachable, it is something beyond human understanding, although it has been experienced by human. Uh, they say it is just a matter of experience. It is a matter of believing. It is not a matter of theoretical interpretation. Well, uh, maybe sometimes people could find their religious experience cannot be expressed in daily life terms, but at the end of the day, human individual has a wonderful capacity and ability to express all his experience. And religious experience also can be expressed. We have wonderful works throughout history in many religions. People in these works talk about their religious experience. People use art, express their religious experience in the form of art, in the form of music, in the form of literature, and so on. So, human being somehow find his or her own ways to express their experience. Of course, uh, expression, expressing your experience at the same time is interpreting your experience. So, interpretation and expressing of religious experience cannot be separated from each other. So, uh, every interpretation means how this experience constructed uh, in the mind of human beings. So, in every attempt of interpretation, at the same time, we are trying to reconstruct what happened, uh, which has been called religious or spiritual or mystical experience. Uh, in religious experience, people they have a relation. Religious experience, it's a relational experience. You think that you have a relation with God. with sacred. So, relation, believing, you think that you believing, having a special relation with God or a special communication with God or with sacred makes your experience very relational. So, in religious experience, uh, it is not a relations with objects. It is a relations with God. You know, uh, for example, in many religions, there are pilgrimage places. Uh, People visited uh, these places, but it is not the place it is important. It is when they visit these places, people believe that they have, through visiting these places, people believe that they have a special communication, a special relation with God. So, for example, when Muslims go to visit Mecca, visit Kaaba, they call it the house of God, Baytullah. So they believe that when they visit Baytullah, the house of God, at the same time they visit God Himself. So it is God who makes Hajj is very special, very important. So the point is here in religious experience, the question of what is not important. The question of who is important. In your religious experience, whom do you think you have a relations? And again, if we give example from Hajj, uh, Hajj is about all Hajj rituals uh, actualized in Mecca. After practicing Hajj rituals in Mecca, people, for example, visited Medina. Why? Because through visiting Medina, people believe that they have a very special relations with Prophet. So, religious experience is something about relations. But, you know, your relations with God, with sacred, is very powerful. It sees all your existence because you are in the presence of a divine existence who is very powerful, who is above you. So, somehow, being in the presence of divine power or divine existence, you want to be alone. I mean, you want to isolate yourself from other people. In many times, people just uh, experience this sort of very strong religious experiences in their isolations. Uh, and when people they have uh, very strong, very powerful relations with God, with sacred, they think that they have an experience of deep communion with their own personal God. Again, if we give example from Hajj, people go to Hajj and when they come back, most people they say after coming back from Hajj, they say we want to go there again. Why you want to go there? Why people visited Hajj more than one time? Why people go to Hajj in every opportunity they have? Because they think that the, when as much as they visited, they go to Hajj, they will have a deep communion uh, with their own personal God. It's something very personal. Hajj becomes a very deep personal communion relation with God. That is why people want to have this experience as much as they could. So this is something the the deep communion aspect of religious experience must be understood. And of course, religious experience is not static. I mean, we can't just say that religious experience it has one form and one content. During religious experience, in every moment, a lot of things happening to us, a lot of changes we are experiencing. I mean, there is a concept of altered state of consciousness. During the religious experience, the state of our consciousness constantly is changing. So alteration, change is an important aspect of religious experience. So finally, I would like to talk about what do people feel at the end of their religious experience. People, they feel that uh, they experience the reality of sacredness, the reality of divinity, or they think that they are in the presence of higher reality, sacred reality. So this is something uh, they think that they have this experience. And through religious experience, people believe that they got respond, they got they see or they experience the help or response from God. So, uh, so this is something important. I mean, in religious experience, God is a reality who can be reached, who can be seen, who can help other people. So when people feel in this sense uh, the responsible, the responsiveness of sacred, uh, they want to do more. They want to have this experience as much as they could. And people sometimes, through religious experience, they feel themselves very special because they think that they have the most special relation with the most special reality. So, uh, in religious experience, they think that, they believe that they are connected, they are related with sacred, with God. This is something, it is a great joy, it's a great ecstasy for people when they experience the connectedness and relatedness with God. The other important point I would like to make, uh, religious experience matters for religious people. And religious experience has consequences. At the end of religious experience, religious people believe that what they expect through as a result of what they experience, they acquired a special way of knowing themselves, knowing society, knowing nature, and knowing the sacred world. So they think that what, uh, depending on the knowledge they gained from their religious experience, their morality, their relations with other people, their relations with nature, their way of life, uh, radically influenced. So it is important uh, to understand that religious experience is not fantasy, or it is not an experience of dreamboat, or it is not empty wish fulfillment. It means a reality for religious people. I mean, it matters to them. So, in order to understand our human experience, we need to understand uh, religious experience humanly, deeply, consciously and scientifically. Thank you.